Hi AMC fans, I'm John Dowdle.
And I'm Drew Dowdle.
And our new thriller, As Above, So Below, will be in AMC theaters August 29th.
Before our movie takes you deep inside the Paris catacombs, check out this edition of AMC Movie Talk.
Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is a show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Joining me in the captain's chair today, our director of productions, Mr. Dennis Sen.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for another brand new episode of AMC Movie Talk. Before we get into the news, I want to say we are only 500 subscribers away from 200,000, so thanks everyone for the support.
Woohoo! All right, we have special guest today, Jamie Philbrook from I Am Rogue.
All right.
And we also have AMC's very own Alicia Malone.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. That was very McConaughey.
Oh, a little McConaughey. Yeah,
like
channel a little McConaughey.
I like a little McConaughey.
All right, guys, a new rumor has been circulating about the ending of Avengers of Ultron. If you don't want to be potentially spoiled, mute your video or skip ahead to the next topic. Are you ready? You've been warned. According to the latest rumor, at the end of the Avengers Age of Ultron is possibly a post-credit scene. There will be a new lineup of Avengers that includes a mix of some familiar faces and some brand new ones. Also, one of those new faces may be Carol Danvers, Miss Marvel. Dennis, what do you think about this rumor?
If it's true, it's a little surprising for me. I think it's a little. I mean, we know from the comic books Avengers they always change the lineup, but for after Avengers 2, I thought maybe after Avengers 3. I don't know if it's true. I'm a little disappointed because who's going to be missing from this group that's going to fight Thanos? Like, we don't want to not see Thor, Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man in that big movie. So I don't know. And then Miss Marvel, I heard that she's in every version of the script that they're talking about. And I heard they're gun shy about putting her in there because they want to possibly do a standalone film with her. So I don't know. Jamie, what do you think?
I think you have to take this with a grain of salt.
Okay.
A rumor is a rumor. I've heard a lot of rumors about what is in Avengers Age of Ultron. I've heard that the Hulk might get shot into space, and that would lead into Planet Hulk or World War Hulk.
Wow.
I've heard that Civil War might be coming for the third Avengers. I think that inevitably the team is going to change. And it's going to change for a couple of reasons. One, because it did in the comics, and they kind of keep it fresh and want to introduce new characters. But also, I think a few of these actors don't want to keep playing these characters. We know that Downey, at best, only has got one more Avengers in him after this. And I think Chris Evans is getting tired of playing Captain America. So we could see the Falcon be introduced. Obviously, we know Don Cheadle is in this next one, so we could see War Machine kind of take over the Tony Stark role. They're introducing a lot of new characters already into this film. Vision, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver. So to introduce Carol Danvers and cast an actress of a magnitude that's going to carry on that role in single films, solo films, and in the future of the Avengers franchise, I think that's a lot to try to shoehorn into one movie. So I definitely think that a West Coast Avengers team could be inevitable in a Avengers 4, 5, 6. But for 3, I think we're still going to keep the core team.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Alicia, what do you think?
I hope so as well, because now we know the Avengers, we love them, and we want to see more of them. I liked Avengers because it brought everyone together, and it was so funny seeing Iron Man and the Hulk and their kind of bromance that they had. I think you're right, Jamie, that it is inevitable that it will change at some point. The only thing I like about this rumor is the introduction of Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, because I would love to see her have a standalone film. I know there's been a lot of talk this week, especially about a Black Widow standalone movie, and a lot of people, even Jessica Chastain, saying, come on, where is the Black Widow movie? Scarlett Johansson has proved herself at the box office with Lucy. We want to see this character do more, but I would actually love to see Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, have her own movie. I think she seems like a really fascinating character to me.
And they just introduced or announced that they're going to introduce Mockingbird into, and Adriana Palicki is going to play that role on the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series, which we know kind of goes back and forth with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. She's Hawkeye's girlfriend in the comics. So maybe they'll introduce that after she's on S.H.I.E.L.D. So there could be a lot of kind of switching around. Yeah, totally.
All right, what's next?
According to a report from The Wrap, Martin Scorsese will be directing a biopic of the iconic punk band The Ramones. The American punk band formed in 1974 in New York City, and though only achieving limited commercial success, they became major influences to the punk rock movement in both the US and the UK, and inspired many punk rock bands from the 70s to present day. I'm excited about this one. Alicia, what do you think of the idea of Scorsese directing a Ramones biopic?
I am really excited about this. I mean, I'm excited about anything that Marty does. I like to call him Marty like I know him. But especially when he handles music. We've seen his great documentaries before, like his Rolling Stones one. The Ramones as well have such an interesting story. It seemed like every time they were on the verge of huge success, something tragic would happen to stop them. And it is really timely at the moment. We just lost the last Ramones. So I would love to see this story. I think Scorsese would do such a great job. 70s punk, and they had such a huge influence over other bands. I am all about this one.
Jamie?
Yeah, Scorsese and the Ramones. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. And you're totally right. I would actually say Scorsese's one of his best films is The Last Waltz,
yes,
which was the documentary about the band. So he definitely knows this. And another film I love of his that was, I guess, not quite set in the 70s, but Bringing Out the Dead, which had a lot of punk music in it and was in New York. So I think it would be great. I'll throw in my 2 cents. Adrian Brody as Joey Ramone. I think that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Or if you want to go a little younger, a little hipper now for the kids, that this Adam Driver that everyone loves, right? From the Girls, he would be perfect for Joey Ramone. So, I mean, yeah, Scorsese can't go wrong. So.
Scorsese and music.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited for it, not just because Scorsese is my favorite director, but this would be his first take on rock music from a narrative standpoint, because he's done so many music documentaries. The Last Waltz, which you mentioned, Shine a Light.
The Dylan one.
Yeah, No Direction Home. So this is the first time we'll actually get to see him, and I think the pairing might be a perfect match, because you have the Ramones and their visceral style of punk rock music, and then you have the energy that Scorsese brings to the camera, to his acting, and to editing and all that stuff. I mean, just watching, Wolf of Wall Street, you see how it hits, and so I think something like this might be a great match.
And he did the George Harrison documentary a couple years
Yeah,
ago too, right?
yeah.
He's done a lot of music.
Plus, 70s and New York as well. I feel like that's his stomping ground.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm super pumped for this. All right, guys. So now we're on to the buy or sell segment. Chrisley, what do we got?
The second trailer for the universal and legendary fantasy adventure Seventh Son has been released. The movie stars Jeff Bridges, Julianne Moore, Kit Harington, and Ben Barnes. The film was originally scheduled for release this past February, then was moved to October, then was pushed again to February 6th, 2015. Jamie, buy or sell this new trailer for Seventh Son?
I'm going to have to sell this. The trailer did not impress me. The story is kind of a rehash of Highlander, which if I'm going to see that, I just want to see a Highlander remake or reboot. Like, I don't want to see something else that kind of takes those elements. I thought the visual effects didn't look even done. They didn't look very good. There's a big kind of ogre monster that's chasing after Bridges and Kit in the sort of towards the middle of the trailer. I didn't think it looked like Hansel and Gretel, it looked like effects from that. So I thought Julianne Moore looked good in her role as the witch in it. Bridges is kind of playing the same thing he played in The Giver and the same thing he played in R.I.P.D. and, that kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi type, guy, Gandalf guy. So I don't know. I just didn't impress me and certainly didn't make me interested in going to see the movie.
I'm going to sell it as well. It's not a big improvement over the trailer that they released almost a year ago. Exactly. It's a little kind of the same, and you're right about the visual effects, because this one has a really generic look to it that a lot of fantasy adventure movies have. Even like a movie like Snow White and the Huntsman, which I thought was kind of flat and kind of boring, at least the visual style was nice to it, the scene with the tree and the animals and all that stuff. But this just looks really, really generic, so I have to sell this. Alicia?
I agree with you guys. Sell, and you said the perfect word, generic. To me, it looks like every other fantasy type film we've seen before, not the good kind.
Right.
The bad kind.
Yeah.
I love Jeff Bridges. He is the dude.
Oh,
the
he's
dude
the dude
abides. But yeah, even in this role, I'm not digging him. And the fact that it's been pushed back, and now February doesn't signal anything good about the film.
No.
Yeah, I think we interviewed Jeff Bridges like
Comic-Con last year. I
Yeah,
talked
not
to
this
him.
past year, the
Yeah.
year before.
Yeah, it was the year before.
It's
It
been
was
a
supposed to
long
come out,
time
and
in
then
the works.
Yeah, so
never a good sign.
never a good sign.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
New behind-the-scenes images have been released for David Fincher's upcoming film Gone Girl. The movie is based on the best-selling novel of the same name by Gillian Flynn and stars Ben Affleck, Rosamund Pike, Neil Patrick Harris, and Tyler Perry. The highly anticipated movie opens in AMC theaters everywhere on October 3rd. Dennis, buy or sell these new images?
I buy these not because the images are anything special. I mean, they're cool behind the scenes. You see this one. I read this isn't actually a spoiler of any kind. This is in the trailer, a scene from the trailer. There's a nice crane shot over Rosamund Pike, and it's, I guess, maybe some of the dream imagery from the movie, not necessarily something that actually happens. But I have an ulterior motive in terms of wanting this movie to do well. It's like the first big budgeted movie that's edited in Premiere, Adobe Premiere, which is the software that I used, and so it's kind of like Walter Murch when he did Cold Mountain, Final Cut Pro. After that, kind of blew up, and he had the Coen brothers use it as well. And so I'm hoping this does very well, and then the software I use gets used by more people. Alicia, what do you think?
That's really interesting. I didn't know that fact. I buy because I'll buy anything that David Fincher is selling. And I love this book. This is one of my most anticipated movies for the rest of this year. And I like this image that we're seeing at the back here because you see Fincher in action, and I'm such a Fincher fanatic. I cannot wait to see his dark take on this film. I am hopefully going to New York to talk to Fincher, and I'm already nervous because he doesn't like interviews, but I love it.
Jamie?
Yeah, I'll buy them. I wasn't, like blown away by them. There's not anything that's like, oh my God, this is, but, just Fincher and the story and, Affleck, and I'm always interested in what Fincher's going to do. And I loved Dragon Tattoo, and I love so many of his movies. So, I'm optimistic about this. We'll see.
Yeah, they also released a bunch of new images earlier today that were just standard pictures. Kind of remind me of when I saw, I'm hoping it's not gonna be like this with Transcendence, where these pictures, they don't really tell you anything about the story.
No.
They're just like shots of each actor, and they're like turning.
But there is a big twist in this one, so I hope that it's not revealed, or they might change it for the film. But I did like how Fincher was talking to Empire magazine. He said, "This is the date movie that will end 15 million marriages." If you read the book, you will know exactly what we're talking about. Whereas Ben Affleck thinks it could be a good date movie because you'll go with your partner, and then you'll talk about marriage and its pros and its cons.
Maybe it's like a litmus test for how strong your relationship is.
Like Blue Valentine or something.
I wasn't blown away by the trailer, but definitely just the fact that Fincher alone is involved in it. I got hope in that. So let's see it. Let's see.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Alicia, but it was Fincher who said that they were changing parts of it as well because so many people are such fans of the book. They didn't want everyone to know what was happening, and I hope they change the ending.
Yeah, that's
most
correct.
anticlimactic ending ever. So hope they change that.
I agree with you 100%. Apparently, Gillian Flynn wrote a new ending for this movie, so that's good because it'll give people like us, because we've read the book, a bit of a surprise in the cinema.
Yeah, and he's done that. I mean, he flipped things around in Dragon Tattoo. He added things from the second book into the first movie. So, yeah, I mean, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So.
All right, what's next?
During the press junket for Will Forte's new movie, Life of Crime, our friend over at Collider.com, Steve Frosty Weintraub, asked Forte if questions about a MacGruber ever get old. Will responded, Jorma just sent an outline for MacGruber 2. We had worked together on something, and I had fleshed out the first act of MacGruber 2. He took that and went nuts on the rest of it. I'm very excited because I feel like at some point, if somebody will let us do it, then we'll do it. But it's out of our hands, but we're writing it for sure. Alicia, buy or sell the idea of the possibility of a MacGruber 2?
I'm buying. I know that MacGruber didn't do very well at the box office. It was a moderate success. I think actually it didn't even make back its budget. But it became kind of a cult hit. And if you like this character from Saturday Night Live days, then you enjoyed the film. I just liked it for how silly it was. I think I didn't see it until it was on iTunes or the equivalent whenever it came out. But I would be interested in a sequel because I just think there's more to do with this kind of MacGyver spoof. Personally.
Jamie?
I would sell it. This movie's never going to get made. It's never going to get made in a million years.
Much money.
Didn't make any money. I think it was, and I enjoyed it. I liked the first one, but it's an SNL sketch. I mean, and even in the sketch he dies. So to to stretch that out in a movie was quite a stretch. And for a sequel or a trilogy, I don't know. And I think it's one of those things like, you know, I've talked to Chris Rock over the years, and I'll ask him just for fun, Pootie Tang 2. Yeah. And he always says, oh yeah, we're working on Pootie Tang 2. No one's working on Pootie Tang 2. Yeah. And it's the same with Will, and God bless Frosty for asking. But I mean, obviously he's going to just, you know, say, oh yeah, you know, we've got some ideas, we're working on some things. I don't think that's going to go. I
think they would love to do it.
Sure, if someone's going to give them the money to do it, but I don't think after the last time Universal's going to give them the money. So they'll probably start shopping it around, and maybe they'll find someone who does want to produce it for the right price. But I can't see. The first MacGruber was not a hit. I can't see the second one all of a sudden being this blockbuster, you know, Austin Powers 2 kind of hit. So I don't know.
I'm going to sell it as well. I think if anything, maybe they'll make it and it'll be something strictly for VOD or Blu-ray or CD or something
make it
like
for
that.
Netflix. Make it for Netflix.
Make it for
that would
Netflix
work.
I would be happy with that.
Totally.
But yeah, it didn't really make any money. And yeah, I remember seeing like there was parts of it that I thought were funny, and then other parts I thought were stupid.
Val Kilmer's great. Val Kilmer's just great. He's great.
Clearly, I didn't see it. I didn't even pronounce it right.
Clearly, I didn't see it. Should we just start calling it MacGruber instead?
Yes. Yes.
All right, before we get into mailbag, just a reminder that we're going to take live Twitter questions. You can tweet us at AMC Movie News, and we'll get to them at the end of the show. So what's in the mailbag today, Chrisley?
Francisco Ramirez writes, hey AMC movie crew, you have always talked about your favorite comic book and sci-fi villains, so I wanted to ask, who is your favorite villain who isn't a comic book or sci-fi character? For example, someone like Hannibal Lecter, my favorite, or even Warden Norton from The Shawshank Redemption. Thanks guys, and keep bringing the filthy.
Alicia, who are some villains that you like that are not comic book or sci-fi?
Well, this is my jam. Yeah. I like Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest because she's so cold and calculating, and that is really terrifying. You don't know why she's doing what she's doing, and she's a formidable presence. I also love Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange. He is a psychopath, but somehow you still like him, Malcolm McDowell, and I like how it twists. So when people are trying to fix him, they almost become the villains, and then it shows that you can't really change anyone if they're evil underneath. And Hannibal Lecter, of course. I like Anthony Hopkins' version, but I know a lot of people like, is it Mads Mikkelsen who does it as well? Yeah,
on TV show.
Yeah, but I like Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Jamie?
Easy, hands down, Hans Gruber. It's got to be Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
Hans Gruber, I mean, yeah, and set the tone for all the Die Hard movies. I mean, I think every villain in the Die Hard movie has, since Hans Gruber, has basically been copying Hans Gruber. I mean, Alan Rickman was amazing, and obviously great in the Harry Potters as well, and you could argue that he's a villain, Snape's a villain, or not a villain, but yeah, Hans Gruber, it is amazing, and I would just say, watch the scene in the movie, in the first Die Hard, where Bruce Willis comes across him, and he's pretending to be, he drops the accent, and he's pretending to be one of the hostages.
Great scene.
I mean, it's just brilliant, and he's so brilliant in it, and I'd also maybe go with the Corleones.
Yeah.
Right? But then that's weird, because we are rooting for them in the film.
Yeah,
but
they're the protagonists.
The bad guys.
That's the
so-
same with like Alex in Clockwork Orange. He's kind of the protagonist. Well, he is.
And then the last one I'd say is American Psycho. Christian Bale.
Yeah.
I mean, he's incredible. Do you like
Patrick
Huey Lewis?
Bateman.
You want to listen to some Huey Lewis?
Oh, God.
You like Huey Lewis in the news? Yeah. Those would be my choices.
Okay, I have two picks. One is Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York.
Yes.
Daniel Day-Lewis, he just kills it in that role. And then the other is Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Basterds as Hans Landa.
It's a bingo.
And the opening sequence is amazing. It's a perfect introduction to the character and the movie in general. Just so much tension in it. So,
and when he makes the switch, not the switch, but at the end, and he's trying to make the deal with Pitt, I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and what I like about these two characters are they are both terrible people, but there's something very likable about them, and they aren't like, oh, I'm evil, so I'm going to do evil stuff. They actually think they're doing the right thing.
They're the heroes in their own story.
Exactly, exactly. Chrisley, what about you? What are some villains that you like that are not comic book or sci-fi related?
Well, Hannibal Lecter is definitely my favorite, and the Anthony Hopkins versions as well.
Yeah.
Kathy Bates from Misery is still one of the creepiest things I've ever seen, and my other favorite villain movie hasn't come out yet, so No Good Deed.
What?
No Good Deed will be a new favorite villain for people.
Cool.
But yeah, those are my favorite.
Yeah, I also like Mother in Psycho, Anthony Perkins.
Yeah.
He dresses
Well,
up
and then you
as Mother.
said Bill the Butcher. We got to mention Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up. I mean, I can just watch that last like 10 minutes of the movie. That's like a movie to itself. I love that.
No, but also the first 10 minutes too.
Yeah. That's another
It's like
movie
a
too.
short film
Yeah.
telling you about, speaking about opening sequences, that tells you everything you need to know about that character.
And no dialogue.
Yeah.
No dialogue.
Exactly.
A lot of Norman Bates popping up in the chat board right
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Kevin Chico writes, "Hi AMC, y'all are my favorite YouTube channel. My question is, do you think going to college or university helps or gets you in the filmmaking industry easier, either as an actor, director, or anything else? Love to hear your thoughts."
It's a tough question to answer, and if it was a yes or no question, I'd have to say yes, but I have to put a little caveat on that. It doesn't increase it very significantly. It's very minor. It helps you prepare knowledge-wise. I think some of the best things that I learned during film school were, you know, film theory and history and dealing with people in terms of creative projects, networking and stuff like that. But I mean, honestly, I'd say the majority of people that I graduated with are no longer working in the industry.
Right.
Because it's more than just, I don't know, it's just something that's, there's no path, there's no direct path to getting a job, and then also it's one of those things that you have to keep going and going at. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I went to film school and I went to acting school after that, and I think that in some ways it didn't help, but you're right, it's the networking, it's the people you meet, it's the people you know, and what they end up doing and what you end up doing. So, and also I think you're talking about an age where you're from, 17 or 18 to 21, 22. Those are maturity growing ages, and I think it's good to be in school. I enjoyed being in school at least, and kind of wasn't necessarily what I was learning in school, but the people I was meeting and the ideas that were sort of growing and changing as far as what I liked in film and that kind of thing. But at the same time, I went to school 15 years ago, so we're talking about an age now where you have YouTube, you have an iPhone that has a camera, you have editing software on your computer. I mean, we had to be in film school in order to get equipment. Now you have the equipment. So I'd say do both. I'd say go to film school and make a film, do your thing, and if your thing starts taking off and leads you out of school and you leave early and you decided to, then great, then more power to you. But maybe a combination of both.
Yeah, most of my
It's a
practical knowledge of like shooting and editing and all that stuff came after.
Yeah, it came from learning and experiencing and doing, yeah,
outside of school. So it's something you can learn while you're at school, or you can learn on your own. But I would advise that people who are interested in doing it that don't want to go to school, I think that's totally fine, and that doesn't determine whether you're going to succeed or not. But actually try and learn something, because there's people who are like, oh, I really like doing it, so I'm just going to do it, you know, versus actually trying to figure out the craft behind it.
Well, and I think the message here should be kids stay in school. Kids stay in school. But at the same time, listen, if you know you want to act, you want to be an actor, I don't think you need to go to a 4-year university, move to New York, move to LA, take acting classes from a reputable acting teacher, and just start doing it. So there's no right or wrong way.
Yeah,
Alicia?
I agree with you guys. I mean, obviously it gives you a good basis for some technical knowledge, but it doesn't necessarily make anything easier to get a job afterwards. I'm not a filmmaker or an actor, but I didn't go to university. I just went straight from school to working the lowest totem pole at a TV station where I get coffee for everyone, and then slowly worked my way up and learnt on the job, because that was just how I learnt better. And then I was able to network with everyone, and now I still keep in touch with people, and started from the bottom, now we're here. Yeah, there are people definitely that prefer to learn in a school environment, and of course that gives you a great basis to start from.
And I think networking's the most important thing, meeting people, and wherever you can meet them, in school or making films or whatever.
Yeah, some people need that structure though for school. Like if you're a person that needs to be told like you need to do this or that or whatever, it's great for those type of people. I'm a little more outside the box. I kind of do things on my own, so like doing stuff on your own can be good and bad as well. And like what you're saying is like you can start at the bottom without any stuff. I think you just have to have that passion and hard work ethic to actually do it. You can't just be like, a lot of people just like, I love movies. Well, that's great,
Yeah.
but that's not going to get you anywhere.
Now what you gonna do?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
What are your thoughts on it, Chrysalie?
I, like Alicia, did not go to school or college necessarily for what we do, but I did take lots of classes and workshops, and I did do on-the-job training as well. So, I mean, I wouldn't tell anybody not to go to school for it, because I think that there's some great things that are learned. I did take a lot of journalism and communications classes, but with our business, whether you're on this side of it or making films, the on-the-job stuff that you're going to learn is so different from what they're going to be able to teach you in books, that it's really kind of the kind of thing that you have to be in there and you have to be in the trenches to really learn it. I mean, I didn't know what it took to make a movie until we made one, and you don't realize how much work goes into that. So I feel like it's a more hands-on-the-job kind of world.
All right, cool. So that's it for Mailbag. We're going to get on to the live Twitter questions. Reminder, you can tweet us at AMC Movie News, and Chrysalie will pick some out. What do we got?
Joseph Liacono, I hope I didn't butcher that, Joseph, says, what movies have left you shaking your head wondering what you just saw? For me, it's The Tree of Life and Yellow Submarine.
Well, I mean, this year, Transformers 4.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally was like, what did... Because I honestly thought, I didn't really see a movie. That wasn't a movie. That was kind of a bunch of scenes that were kind of stitched together, that they like, okay, we're going to have this scene, but then somehow we need to marry it to this scene. Like, there's no real story there. They just want, you know, let's put this product placement here, and let's put this visual effect here, and so...
Let's put this young girl's body over here.
Yeah.
Michael Bay says.
from the...
This shot up,
Yeah, so
I
that was the
agree.
last one that I thought, wow, what did I just see?
How did that happen, is what I thought.
Any others?
I agree with Transformers Age of Extinction. The other one that baffled me this year, and I can't remember the name of it, maybe someone will help me, Paul Haggis directed it. And it had James Franco and Maria Bello and Adrian Brody. I mean, it had this amazing, Liam Neeson is the star. Someone help me with the title.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay, but this movie makes no sense. You won't know what's going on. You won't understand anything in it. There's a lot of false narratives and false endings. And I actually talked to Paul Haggis himself, and he said that's what he was going for.
Right.
He wanted people to leave the theater arguing, saying, being upset and saying, what did I see? I don't understand this.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the best thing as a filmmaker that you want to be going for, but if that's the effect he wanted, he got it, because I've never been to a press screening before where literally someone turned to me during the end credits and said, wait, what just happened? Did this happen? I don't want to give anything away, but there's this and da-da-da. And I said, yeah, I don't know. And people were arguing outside of the theater.
That's
like,
cool.
What did we just see? I don't get it.
I like that. I like a movie that leaves me going,
Did you see it?
what
Did
just
you see
happened?
the Paul
No,
Haggis? Okay.
now I'm going to, just
Yeah,
to see if I can figure it out,
Yeah.
which obviously is not the intention. The intention is to not figure it out. But another one I saw that left me going, what did I just see, but in a good way, was Under the Skin. And that film is so different and just really out there. Scarlett Johansson, I took one of my good friends who is not used to seeing experimental cinema, and she, during it, was like, what's going on? I'm scared, because you see some really disturbing images. But I really like a film that makes you think.
Chrysalie, how about you?
Jersey Boys.
Oh, yeah.
I was so looking forward to that because, yes, I love me a musical, and I've seen Jersey Boys so many times, and my best friend and I walked out of the theater and was like, what did we just watch? It was so sadly disappointing.
Aw,
All right,
I
what's
agree.
next?
All right, Sebastian Culligan wants to know, what's your favorite heist movie? His is the original Italian Job.
Ooh, I like a Ocean's 11 type thing.
Ocean's 11
Yeah,
is
with
good.
The first
Rooney.
Thomas Crown Affair count as a
Yeah.
heist movie?
Yeah.
It does,
That one.
right? Yeah.
I actually
go
like the
Steve McQueen,
remake.
Thomas Crown Affair. No, the remake's fantastic
Yeah,
with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
They're both great movies.
They
And
are.
they're different, but the same, but totally different.
One that people have mixed feelings about is actually the score. Did you ever see the score with Robert De Niro,
with De Niro and Ed Norton.
That's the one I was just
Brando.
trying to think of the name of.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Oh, I like
It's
that
funny
one.
because you have
So
those
good.
three acting heavyweights, and actually Edward Norton's the one who actually steals the show.
Right.
Steals
in
it.
that
Yeah.
one. It's not like absolutely fantastic, but I really enjoyed that one. I'm trying to think of
I like
other
the
ones.
Bank Job as
Bank
well.
Job,
Bank
too.
Job's
The best
great.
Yeah.
I've ever
And the
seen
Italian
Statham.
Job remake was good.
Italian Job
Yeah.
remake. And could you call something like To Catch a Thief? a heist
Catch a Thief.
film is more of a thriller, but
I love To Catch a
Hitchcock.
Thief. I love To Catch a Thief.
I'm sure there's more that
Yeah.
we can't think of at the top of our head, but those are the ones that we're thinking of. So what's next?
What is next is Julie Storin wants to know if we will ever visit Middle Earth after the Battle of Five Armies.
I sure hope not.
You never know.
I don't think so. I think it's kind of run its course after this final movie.
I mean, I think the Warner Brothers would definitely want that because that's the only reason The Hobbit got made in the first place, because we need this franchise and this thing made money and let's do more. I think they've run out of material unless they start just creating their own material with the characters, which they could. I think there'll be a lot of Tolkien fans that'd be upset about that. But they totally could do it. But at the same time, these past Hobbit films have not done as well as the Lord of the Rings series, and even I think each Hobbit film does a little, there's a little less anticipation for it. It's kind of like, oh, another one of those coming this Christmas. So I think the franchise might be running out of steam, and if it runs out of steam, then they're not going to try to do it. But if it doesn't, then Warner Brothers will put more money into it and maybe come up with something else. I don't know.
And then maybe like 30 years from now, they're going to reboot it and have a brand new Lord of the... They will.
It'll be like 5 years from now. They're not going to wait 30. It'll be like 5 years from now.
Remaster it, with better special effects. I remember talking to Orlando Bloom at Comic-Con, and I said, you thought you were saying goodbye to your character at the end of Lord of the Rings, and then this happens. Do you really believe him when Peter Jackson says, this is it, this is the end? He's like, I believe him, but I'm not sure, because Peter Jackson can always come up with something new. And yeah, I'm sure the studio would love it to continue, but the material isn't there, so I think it will be the end.
And I think there was enough material for 3 Hobbit movies. Yeah. I mean, there was really enough material for 1 Hobbit movie, you know, or maybe 2, but 3, so.
A lot of walking.
A lot of walking.
Too much walking.
A lot of dwarfs.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
This is almost an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
Joseph wants to know, Pulp Fiction or Goodfellas?
Oh.
Told you it was unfair.
You know what? Actually, that's easy for me.
Wow.
That's easy for me. It's Goodfellas. Goodfellas is actually my favorite movie of all time. And actually, Pulp Fiction is not my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. I actually like a bunch of his other stuff more. So
I agree.
For me, Pulp Fiction is not on the upper tier of Tarantino.
Oh, it's hard, because I think Goodfellas is a better movie, but Pulp Fiction I have more an affinity with. That is my favorite Tarantino film because it was my first, and it was like, who is this guy and how did I not know about him? And then I went back and watched Reservoir Dogs. So I would choose Pulp Fiction just because I personally love that one.
Yeah, it's a Sophie's choice. It's such a tough call. Pulp Fiction I agree, it's now not my favorite Tarantino movie. I mean, I think Inglourious Basterds is maybe his best. Loved Django, and I love Jackie Brown. I think Jackie Brown's an underrated Tarantino. That being said, it was my first Tarantino movie, and it was like, what is going on? And I was a young kid, and I saw it like 6 times in the theaters because I just, loved it so much. So, whoa!
Ruining things in the studio.
That's Tarantino that did that. Yeah. The ghost of Tarantino.
He's like, you better choose Pulp Fiction.
I would go with Goodfellas.
Okay. I also think, even though I love Goodfellas a lot more, I think Pulp Fiction is actually the more influential film because it kind of helped start that whole indie film movement back in the 90s.
And the non-linear way of telling the story.
And there were so many Tarantino copycats after that.
Oh, yeah. And so many great quotes from that movie, too.
Yeah. All right, let's do one more question.
All right, one more. Last one's from Jonathan Bell, who says, since no one seems to want to make a female-led superhero movie, would it be better to just have a female supervillain first?
Oh.
They tried that. Catwoman. Didn't work.
Yeah, I think a superhero is best. I think Black Widow is probably your best bet right now because she's already been established in Avengers and also in Captain America 2, and it has someone who's a huge star as the lead role. So that's I think the first one, and it can be successful. What about you guys?
I would love to see a supervillain as well as a superhero. Can I choose both?
You can.
Yeah, because I think supervillain would be really interesting if you get a good script, and unlike Catwoman, and you make a really interesting 3-dimensional character, and you hire a great actress. That would be fascinating.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating. And they kind of did that with Maleficent. Obviously not superheroes.
They gave
but
her a backstory.
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
was
Yeah, that would
interesting.
be really neat to see do that. I don't think that that'll happen. I agree with you. I think Black Widow is probably the best bet.
Yeah.
And obviously they're going to try to launch Wonder Woman, so wait and see about that. And
Sony,
I think it
whoever they
could definitely work with, you know, the right character and the right actress, and you know, it's all about the material. But Wonder Woman's got to be, you know, I mean, she's the most famous female superhero of all time. They got to try to do that right.
All right, guys, so that's it for today's episode. I want to thank the people joining us on the panel. First up, Jamie, where can people find you and your work?
Yeah, absolutely. Check out my website, iamrogue.com. You can also check me out on Twitter. Our handle is @iamrogue.com, and Jamie Philbrook on Facebook.
And Alicia, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram @Alicia Malone, and I hope you've all watched our brand new show, AMCI Indie Spotlight, which me and Amy Rose are doing every week, where we get to delve into the world of independent movies. We're both very passionate about this show, so make sure you check it out on AMC Independent YouTube channel.
And our lovely host, Chris Lee, where can people find you?
You guys can find me in the chat board as I'm here typing away on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you guys can find me everywhere else @Chrysalie.
And you can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. And also make sure to subscribe to the AMC YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/AMC Theaters. And also the aforementioned AMCI, our brand new show and channel. So make sure to subscribe to that so you can watch that show every week. And also you can follow us on Twitter @AMC Theaters. And I hope you guys have a great 3-day weekend. So we'll be back.
Monday off.
Not on Monday,
No
but we'll
show.
be back on Tuesday.
Yay.
See you guys.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.